Well, hello and welcome from Bishop's Bay, just up from Ballachulish. It's a lovely location here, and one day I'll probably vlog this. But in this video, I'm going to show you, last week I had a company over called Skye Photography, which are a company based in Boston, and they do workshops all over the world, and they spend a week with me, and we did a few days in Glencoe and then a few days up into Skye. And I always feel it's a shame when I'm on these workshops, because I do manage to get some time when we've got the clients all set up to get a snap myself when we're waiting for the light. So I thought in this video, I'd show you some of my images from my week in Skye mainly. So come and join me and see my images from Skye from the Skye Photography Workshop.
You want to leave this place where we grew up, this old town, just put it all behind. Remember you and I would always find somewhere to hide when we were kids, so we could see and hear the water run. The river's gonna cry when you're gone.
Yeah, so what we did is we spent a couple of days in Glencoe, and usually on these workshops, particularly the first 3 days, I kind of dedicate myself to building a bit of confidence and getting some technical abilities with the client. So I didn't do any photos really from Glencoe at all, but as their confidence builds throughout the week and we sort of wait for the light, it allows me to just get the odd snap myself as well. So what we did is we headed up from here and we went up to Fort William first off. And we did the classic boat scene, so it's a really nice location if you've ever been there. It's a classic spot, it's really easy. It's park at Glencoe Bay, and then you can just walk over to the boat itself. And I did a little bit of a different shot this time. I just thought it was quite nice, but I managed to get some reflections in it. And sometimes I just feel if you're shooting it with Ben Nevis and all that in the background, it gets a bit cluttered. So this shot itself, I decided to just go quite simple really. So I did the front of the boat, the bow of the boat, and just with a little bit of reflection, a little bit of land. So kind of minimalist shot. Unfortunately, last week, a lot of the week the word was grey. So it was quite challenging conditions. It was flat light. So trying to get some good quality shots with that flat light was really difficult. So you'll see throughout this session here, you'll see a lot of black and white images just because the light was flat. But it actually challenged me quite well, and it challenged all the clients as well, and it was quite nice to see a little bit of flat light just to help us really get into that black and white, which is, again, as you know, I don't usually do black and white, but it was quite nice to challenge myself. Cool, okay, so here is the shot, and if you like the shot, here is the shot of the boat at Glencoe Bay. So it was quite a nice shot. In fact, there was a little bit of editing there, and this is where this generative fill comes in. There was a little bit of graffiti and a big sort of stuff on the floor as well, which I kind of edited out, and it's so easy to do. So I really like that AI stuff for tweaking these little bits. So yeah, really nice. Okay, then we had a bit of a long drive up to across the Skye Bridge, the obligatory Eileen Donnan shot, and that I didn't bother with none of that. I was too busy coaching. But then we got over the bridge there, and of course you drive past and you go up to Sliggerhorn and you get the famous Sliggerhorn Bridge. Now, I want you to put in your comments below, has anybody really got a fantastic image of the Sliggerhorn Bridge? It's one of my shots that I really struggle with quite often. I'll show you the image. Yeah, and I just feel you need a bit more water in it. And I think it's only a really great shot if the sun is setting, you've got some beautiful light in the background. But again, we've got quite flat light. I just feel that the bridge itself, in terms of the composition, gets lost with all the landscape around it. Comment below, see what you think, and if you've got a really great shot, let me know what you did and how you did it. Yeah, great. So the next location, we headed up, we tried to get down to the fairy pools, but unfortunately the Highland Council were doing all the road that needed doing, because I hear the summer was a nightmare for them. So we didn't get to Glen Brittle, but we did move over to Talisker Bay. And of course, our little trip round, we had to do the obligatory trip around the distillery. But what I did do is it allowed us to go to Talisker Bay that I'd never been to before. Wow, what a stunning location it really is. And it's just I'll show you the photo in a minute, but it's just a lovely sort of, you've got a little sea stack, and then this absolutely amazing beach, and the sand is jet black. So you get these lovely, definitely black and white, contrasty sort of shots. I did get down in my wellies on. I had to get right down there in the sea as it's coming over. But that night we had a lot of wind. It was really windy, and we had a nice big swell. And I was just like, I got up in the morning and think, thank goodness, because all that grey had just been blown away by this very strong wind. And what that did is gave us a nice swell as well, which got all these beautiful sort of waves tumbling over onto the beach, which was amazing. It really was. So I'm going to show you a few shots here, and the first shot I'll show you is I kind of got down low and I wanted it with the waves crashing over these big black boulders. And I really slowed it down a little bit, but it was a key to get it right is not too slow, because then it all goes really misty. I kind of wanted a little bit of the waves crashing in, but as you know, I really like super slow, so I had to sort of stop myself going too slow. Anyway, this shot really worked, so here is the image of Isle of Bay. Yeah, what an absolute beautiful shot. It was really nice. And I've got to say, it was just a pleasure to see all the clients. They were so engrossed. In fact, we were only going to be there half an hour, and we ended up being there an hour and a half because they just were so engrossed. And it's lovely to see that enthusiasm all dotted around the beach, and they were soaking. And I was obviously dotting around and that, but they all were so settled. So I was very lucky because I managed to get a couple of shots myself. Now, this next shot at the bay, I really like. In fact, I'm going to put two up for you. And this reminded me something like some of the black beach in Iceland, because the sand was so jet black. It looked very Icelandic, and I managed to get a nice boulder in the foreground that was a key element. Very isolated, so it was very simple foreground, but really effective. So yeah, we got a lovely shot there, and then I just wanted it as the waves were coming in, and then as the waves crash out, slow that shutter down, and then you get that nice sort of streakiness down of the wave coming out. So I really like this. This is one of my favourite shots. It's fantastic. I popped it into black and white because it just simply worked. So there's a couple of shots coming up, and if you like these shots, here's the images. Yeah, they were very special, weren't they? What lovely shots. I mean, I could have spent another 4 or 5 hours there. It was quite nice because there's a big waterfall around the other side of the bay, and the wind was so strong, it was one of these reverse waterfalls where it was blowing up the way. So it was fantastic. It was intriguing just to see that. But it's a great spot. I will say, when you park at Isle of Skye, it's hard to park. There's not much room to park, and of course we had a couple of minibuses, so we did get in early. And it's probably about a 20-minute walk from the car park, but it is well worth it. And if you're in that area, it's one of those locations where you never actually really see anybody else shooting it. You see a bit, but not nothing like that. And I think it's one of the great, it should be on the list of great locations on the Isle of Skye, and I just don't see it enough. So it's a little treat. Get yourself down there. Now, of course, on that same day, we had that really windy day, and it was good for the wind, and it blew all the clouds off. But we ended up going to Ness Point. What a drive. I don't know if you've been to Ness Point, but boy, what did I drive that all down on that single track road. So, but once you get there, you're gifted with this absolutely stunning location with the big rock and the lighthouse looking out over the sound of Rassay and looking over to Applecross and Torridon. It is a fantastic location. So we got down there, we got out the bus. Now, most of the time when I do that, I tend to go up high onto the top. But the wind, we all got out and we got halfway up, and was like, I mean, you could hardly stand, the wind was just so much. So we turned around, and actually I think I found a better location than I normally find there, and I'll tell you why in a minute when we show the shot. So we ended up walking down towards the lighthouse, and then just went off to the right here. And even though the conditions were really challenging because the wind was so strong, we just all of us managed to find a boulder each to hide behind in the lee of the wind, and that was fine. And I was protecting my my camera with my body, so I was kind of in front of the camera. All those clients were there as well, and we're all in front of the cameras, so the camera was in the lee of the wind. Anyway, I got a couple of shots and the sunset just started and I could see it was going to be something very special. So this first shot is just as the sun's coming down, but it's behind a bit of cloud and it gives you a kind of a muted sort of colours, a very sort of browny sort of spectrum, obviously because we're in this time of year, November, everything has gone brown. So it was a beautiful shot. I really like it. See what you think. Here's the image of the next point. Now I've got a very similar composition. I want to talk about the composition of this one because by getting low, what happens is the big rock is really very prominent in the sky. And I've used Nest Point before when I'm a bit higher up, and you've got to be careful that the actual top of the big rock to the left of the lighthouse doesn't meet the horizon. It kind of overlaps a little bit with the horizon. You've got to get low or high just to get a bit of separation between these two. Whereby going right down and then going off to the right, it was very obvious in the sky, so I never had any overlap anyway. If you look at it, there's no lines that line up and odd things that are happening. It was just a really good composition. So actually, if you ever go to Nest Point, it might be worth just coming down and trying this location. Just come down towards the lighthouse and then you turn right and there's some stone wall you climb over. And that gives you a better composition, I think, which is not a usual location I see very often. Anyway, we were getting there and we were getting blown away and some of the clients were like, oh, I think that's it, I've got the shot. And I could see this little gap in the cloud at the bottom there and this sun was just dropping into it. And I said, I'm gonna have to tell you all to wait here. So we all waited and sure enough, this sun dropped into this cloud and lit it up and it was just a magical moment, it really was. And all of us got some fantastic shots. So I got a great shot of this with the sun setting and Nest Point. And it's one of those kind of, I would go as far to say this is probably one of my portfolio shots which I will use. Good, I'm really pleased with it. Let me know what you think. Here's the image. Wow, weren't that a beauty? I was so pleased with that. I was so delighted. It's one of those where you kind of look at it and you just gorge yourself on the image because you just love it so much. So, and also that, you know, I'll always remember what happened and how it was on that really windy day when I took that shot. So it's fantastic. Cool, okay. The next day, so nice in the hotel. Actually, we stayed at the Cooling Hills Hotel. What an amazing hotel. I would say it's the best hotel I've ever stayed in. So it's quite posh and the food was amazing, but I just want to hats off to the team there because they were amazing and really helped us. So the next day we did the drive north, and it's one of the most magical special routes, I think, on the planet. So you get into Portree and then just head north. So the first stop we stopped off on that morning, and the light was pretty good at this time, but we did have a few challenges. There's a little place called Loch Fada, and what Loch Fada does is it looks over the Old Manor Store and the Mountain of Store, and it's just a cracking location, it really is. What's up?
It's your wrong side, Karl.
Oh, can you see my thing? Okay. I'm in the dentist today, it was filled in today.
Too many talkies.
I'll go the other side. Oh dear. Normally I do these videos myself, but I've got my wife with me today. She's been a real big help. Oh no, now the dog's not, oh dear. So yeah, so we ended up at Loch Fada here, and I ended up getting the long lens out, which is something I don't generally do. I've got a really bad habit of using the wide angle. And it was a good opportunity to get that long lens in. What it does is it kind of compresses everything. So usually when I'm with a wide angle lens, the Old Manor Store is this tiny little rock face, you can't really see it. So by using that big lens and zooming right into it, I managed to get the nice little island on the foreground here and the Old Manor Store. Now this was one of these painful mornings because we had light dancing around us all over the landscape, but not once, and we stayed here 2 hours, I'm not telling you a lie, 2 hours we stayed there, and not one bit of light hit the Old Manor Store. It was painful. So actually what I did is, I did something called time blending. So what I managed to do is, when the light was in different locations around the scene, we only really got 3 different types. So I time blended those shots together just to look like there was more light there than there actually was. So this actual image is actually a combination of 3 images, and I just pasted in when the light was in different locations to give it a bit more. So I really like this image. I superly slowed it down to give me that nice softness in the sky, just to give that contrast with the old manor store. And if this image works, here's the So my new director has told me to move around because it's a bit boring, so I've sat this side now. So this is Bishop's Bay right here. Yeah, and the next location, so we drove up there, wonderful shot, and then we moved up to Kilt Rock, and I really like Kilt Rock, and it's a bit underrated, I think. But we managed to get Kilt Rock. Now what happens, I did all the sort of tutoring and they all got a great shot. Some of them were really fantastic, super slowed down. And then I skipped lunch, so it was quite good because I skipped lunch because everybody else had lunch on the van. And that allowed me to get my drone out and do a bit of drone stuff. And so I really like Kilt Rock itself as the image. It's a bit of a funny one, and it really breaks the rules because it's very much on the left hand side. There's nothing in the right hand side of the frame. So I deliberately broke the rules with this image. So super slowed down. It gives me that lovely softness as the waterfall comes over the rock face and down on the big basaltic slab, which is what makes up a lot of the Trottonus Ridge and the north side of Skye. So I did a wonderful shot here, just a normal one, but you have to get high, so there's some railings and you've got to get that tripod right close and really high up. So it was really high up to get that image. I really like it, it's quite nice. And here's the image of Kilt Rock. Yeah, but while I was there, I thought I'd get the drone up, and there's some quite nice shots from the drone itself. So I flew it out a good way and then kind of got it up a bit high as well, kind of the maximum altitude. You've got to watch because there's a no-fly zone there, so you've got to watch when they're flying. But it was a great little location. So zoomed on back, and I got a beautiful couple of shots here. There was a little bit of editing, so I had to sort of clone out the car park a little bit and things like that. But I think there's 2 lovely shots here. So here's 2 shots of the drone of Kilt Rock. So then we're heading a bit further north to what is my favourite spot in the whole of the UK. It is just great for photography. It's just a lovely environment. And the reason being is it's so unique to anywhere else on the planet. It really is. And that is the Kerrang. It's a beautiful spot. You get all these beautiful little, they're like a pod of dolphins, all these little fins in the air, just as the basaltic slab has slipped down, and you get all these beautiful triangles in your shot. So it's a grey image. Now, unfortunately, the light did go grey again at the end, which is a shame. And actually, the Kerrang itself is really a sunrise image. You get a beautiful sunrise there. But we were getting there and it was getting late and it was just getting a bit grey. So I ended up doing the black and white again, which is good. It challenges you. In grey and flat light, it's good to challenge you because you can always get something quite spectacular if you really push yourself. So I used the little tree here as a bit of foreground interest, and then it kind of disappears off into the distance. So I love the Kerrang, and here is the image. Yeah, really nice, weren't it? Just that lovely black and white. So I did think I could try something else a little bit different because the clouds weren't moving that much and I wanted a bit more softness in the sky just to give a bit of contrast with these angular, sort of triangly pointed rocks and that soft sky. So actually what I did at the end there is I set myself up and I did a nice 5-minute exposure. And if you have a look at this composition, what I've done is I've kind of situated myself whereby nothing overlaps. That's really important when you're at the Kerrang. A lot of these little fins just kind of overlap each other and you kind of look oddities where they're kind of matching up and stuff. So I actually moved myself and I got a nice reflection in the lock here, and you can see there's a bit of a gap with a reflection to the bottom of the lock as well. So it's really important when you're at your Kerrang just to make sure that your composition is bang on, and a little step to the left or the right makes a big difference. So what I did is I set up the tripod, and this is, believe it or not, a 5-minute exposure just to try and get some softness in the sky, which was great because anybody, like, a tourist walked straight in front of the camera and they just vanished from the shot, so it was quite nice. So here is a 5-minute exposure of the Kerrang. Okay, so I hope you liked what you saw. As always, go down and click on the thumbs up. It makes a massive difference to my channel. And again, if you really like my content, click on that subscribe. And if you click on the bell, you'll get a notification every time I post. I'm posting about every 3 or 4 weeks at the moment, which is quite nice. I'm only doing it a bit of fun. I don't take it too seriously. Cool. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed what you've seen, and we'll see you in the next video. Get on it. I can't get on it. I can't get on it. Yes, yes, yes. Woohoo!
You've got to say, see you in the next one.